Cruise news time. Well, yesterday the Carnival Mardi Gras rescued 16 individuals afloat at sea, and those individuals will probably be returned to the place they started, and they may not be excited about it. Interesting dilemma for cruise lines and for all of us. Cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, your guide into that cruise life. If you like staying up to date with everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. This story that I want to talk about today is pretty simple at its core. Seafarers, sailors, people of the sea, there is an agreement amongst all of them that if you see someone in distress, it is on you, the closest vessel, to assist. And yesterday there was a vessel that was spotted by crew members and by guests on the Carnival Mardi Gras just off the coast of Cuba. The captain was notified and they went and they provided assistance to this vessel. This vessel was holding 16 individuals. Some of them had a Cuban identification, so the assumption there is that they are from Cuba. It was 11 men and 5 women, and they were on a craft that's not super seaworthy, especially in light of the tropical storms that are bearing down in the Caribbean. The assessment was made that this vessel would be in the path of a storm and that this vessel would not survive the storm. So assistance was given, and these 16 individuals are taken on board the Carnival Mardi Gras, and the protocol is this. The Carnival Mardi Gras then contacts the Coast Guard, and these individuals are handed off to the Coast Guard. And some people ask the question, well, what happens to these individuals once they're handed off to the Coast Guard? Well, that also is pretty straightforward. The Coast Guard returns those individuals back to where they came from. So in this circumstance, those 16 individuals will be returned to Cuba. Now, the broader conversation around this is Cuba is a horrible, oppressive place to live. When the revolution took place in the early 1950s, it was one of the largest immigrations to the United States from any island in the Caribbean, where there were millions of Cubans that fled Cuba and came to live in the United States. So you have a scenario where you have people that live in the United States, Cuban Americans, that are still related to people in Cuba, and there's still people trying to escape the oppressive regime in Cuba, and it's not easy, right? It's an island, and so some people do the dangerous thing and they will make a makeshift boat and they will get on the water. Now, unfortunately, the immigration policy in the United States does not favor those who jump into the sea and make the risky journey from Cuba to Florida. And honestly, this conversation around Cuban immigration, Cuban refugees, it's a decades-long conversation that dates back to the revolution there in Cuba. And I think because we've had this reality of Cuban immigration, Cuban refugees for most of our lives, if you're my age, I just wanted to share some things that are true, just so that we would have that in our thought process, and then we can try to process it some more. I was trying to find out what the latest stance from the government was, and it's interesting. There's a bunch of changing policies over the decades, but particularly when it comes to Cubans trying to seek asylum or leave Cuba by water, there's a pretty clear stance that the United States government has taken on this, and I just want to put it out there in the universe. I don't know that anybody in Cuba could get the YouTube, but this is the stance by the U.S. This was from July the 13th, 2021. It's from the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro in Mayorkas. And what I'm going to share with you are excerpts from a statement about immigration and about refugees. Basically, the Secretary says this: "We also stand in solidarity with the Cuban people and their call for freedom from the repression and economic suffering that the Cubans' authoritative regime is causing. DHS is working with our partners to support the Haitian and Cuban people." And so that's a good statement, but he goes on to say, "The Coast Guard, along with our state, local, and federal partners, are monitoring any activity that may indicate increases in unsafe and irregular maritime migration in the Florida Straits, including unpermitted vessel departures from Florida to Cuba." He goes on, "Allow me to be clear, if you take to the sea, you will not come to the United States. It's a pretty hard stance there, and it does answer the question, when these folks are picked up by sea, by cruise ship or any other vessel, what happens to the people that were trying to migrate to the United States? The answer is simply, they will not come to the United States. The policy is, of course, if you can make land at a U.S. port, if you could show up at a port in Florida, you could claim asylum, you could participate in some of the programs that are set up for Cuban refugees, but it's clear here that the Coast Guard is not going to help you make that journey. The United States is not going to help you make that journey. So if you balance that with the fact that if other vessel captains see you in a distressing situation, like the situation yesterday, you're going to get picked up out of the sea, and you're going to be handed over to the Coast Guard, and you're going to be returned to your country. And just to drive the point home with data, let me show you this chart that was compiled by the human rights advocacy group WOLA based on data from the Coast Guard. In 2021, 1,255 migrants were returned to Cuba. This wasn't all by the Coast Guard. They're also returned from other countries like Mexico. And then so far in 2022, 861 Cubans have been returned, 345 by the Coast Guard, and 473 by Mexico, and 43 by the Bahamas. Now, I know immediately many of you will run this whole scenario through your political filter. If you're conservative, Republican, you'll think about it one way. If you're a Democrat, if you're a liberal, you'll think about it another way. If you're an independent, you'll think about it another way. I would challenge you guys not to run it through any of those filters. Let's lay all of that prejudice aside, and let's just think about this from a problem-solving scenario. This is what I know to be true. Many of us that live in the United States are not native to North America. At some point in the history of the United States, immigration was in such a place where our families could migrate to the United States. And I'll say it, I believe that the United States is the best country in the world, the most opportunities, certainly has its challenges, it has its flaws, but I believe that for many people in the world, if they could pick a country that they could live in, I do believe that the United States would still be really high or #1 on that list. And so for me, I have to recognize, since I'm not native to North America, at some point, my family was lucky enough to be allowed to immigrate to the United States, and I was lucky enough, by divine providence, that's the way I believe it, to be born in the United States. And so I believe, since I am a beneficiary of that positive immigration policy, and since I am a beneficiary of divine providence, that I should care about people that are struggling to get out of an oppressive place. Now, I don't know what the solution is, right? The challenge for Cuba is it is an island. It is hard to make it to a border to ask for asylum. And so really, I don't know. I'm working the decision tree. You guys know how I am. Here's one way that you could think about it. You could look at those people that were on the raft that are going to be returned back to Cuba, and you could say, sucks to be you. Sucks to be you that you didn't make it to the United States so that you could get asylum. Sucks to you that you were born in Cuba. And I guess sucks to you that your attempt to get to freedom was thwarted by the goodness of the seafarers. But all of that is just a sucks to be you mentality. The other mentality is I've been blessed to be born here in the United States, and there are people out there that would like the same opportunity that we have had because of positive immigration policies throughout history, which to me I do believe is one of the cores of the American idea. How do we fix this? We're smart people out here, right? Again, we have to strip away our political prejudice, and we have to look at the situation of were we blessed because of where we were born, and what about those people that weren't? And I struggle to think that the answer is, well, I'm lucky and they're unlucky, life's not fair, too bad, you know, tough it out. I don't know that that's the answer. I don't have an answer. Again, we're a strong community, a diverse community, a worldwide community. I don't even know if we can have the conversation without it turning into, you know, political tropes and, you know, regurgitated ideas. But there's got to be some creative, you know, thinkers out there that aren't really bogged down in that. And yeah, look, the point of the show today is just to explain to you what the situation is and to offer an opportunity to have the conversation in the comments and see where it goes. Maybe there's some banging ideas down there that nobody's ever thought of, but I'm having so much trouble reconciling the fact that you know, the American idea is built on opportunity and immigration, and yet there's a vast amount of people that would love to participate in that we don't allow to do that just because we go, well, you know, we're here and you're not, too bad. But you know, at the same time, how do you facilitate anything better than that? I don't know. Boom! That's your cruise news. Those are my thoughts for today. I hope you're having a good Saturday. It's a little heavy conversation for a Saturday, but hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes we have to tackle the tough so that we can enjoy the not tough even more. I'd love to hear your commentary below. Thanks so much for checking out the show today. Hope you enjoyed it. Show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony for La Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.